Hello, ladies, and welcome to this live stream, Decoding Your Menstrual Cycle, a guide to enhanced fertility. So in this live stream, I'll be looking at the 4 phases of the menstrual cycle, and we will be going through the 4 main phases, the menstrual, follicular, ovulation, and luteal, and how each phase affects your body and your fertility. I will also cover a Chinese medicine perspective on a good period flow, what your period is telling us, the color of it, and how diet, exercise, stress, and sleep can influence your menstrual cycle. I'll also address some of the common menstrual irregularities such as PCOS, endometriosis, irregular periods, painful periods. We call this dysmenorrhea, amenorrhea, which is the absence of periods, and how they affect fertility, including just some potential treatment pathways. So let's get started. Menstruation. So menstruation is the periodic shedding, it's usually monthly, of the lining of the womb. Generally speaking, menstruation starts during puberty around 10 to 16 years old and continues until menopause around 45 to 55 years old. So an average menstrual cycle is about 28 days, but it can vary. 24 to 35. I don't think I know any woman that is 28 days. That is textbook. But that's basically what we see in the literature. But as I said, it's 24 to 35 days. There's a big girth there. Most women will have more than 500 periods in their lifetime. So the 4 menstrual phases, we're going to break this down. So as I mentioned, the menstrual phase, the follicular phase, the ovulatory phase, and the luteal phase. So from a Chinese medicine perspective, we call the menstrual phase, this is the blood phase, this is the shedding of the uterine lining. This is the first phase of the menstrual cycle and is commonly referred to as your period or menstruation or your menses. So it typically lasts 3 to 7 days and is marked by the shedding of the endometrial lining that is built up during the previous menstrual cycle. So day 1 is considered day 1 of your bleeding, and it's the first day of your cycle, and that's basically it's disintegrated from the egg that hasn't been fertilized. So we've got low levels of estrogen and progesterone, and during this phase, the endometrium is breaking down and it's shedding in the form of menstrual blood. So in Chinese medicine, this is a phase that we regard as a time of renewal and cleansing, and it's allowing the body to prepare for the possibility of the upcoming new pregnancy and upcoming cycle. So we turn inward in our period. It's a time to rest. It's a time for self-care practices and things like taking a bath, taking a nap, and, it's just really nourishing and nurturing your body. We'll use some herbs, and I'm going to kind of infuse the Chinese medicine into this talk. So we use a lot of herbs like Angelica sinensis. We call this the female ginseng, dangwei. It is really nourishing of the menstruation blood that's lost. We'll often use goji berries. So these are things that you know, that looks like raisins. We call it goji zhi. And we will often eat things that are high in omega-3s. We want anti-inflammatory foods. We want to replace the blood loss with hem and non-hem protein, so iron. And we also want to have vitamin C rich foods to help you absorb the iron. So we also want foods high in magnesium, because magnesium's great. It's great for, cramping. So think of also your foods. It's not just about taking your powders and your supplements. Think of what foods are high in magnesium: spinach, broccoli, kale, kiwi, legumes, salmon. And we focus a lot on warming foods. So all of your soups, your casseroles, your teas, your curries, not too hot, not too cold, just right. Congee. Congee is a base of a Chinese soup. It's made from a base of rice and water. And we bring that to the boil and then we simmer it. We'll often add ginger at the end. And sometimes you can add in like your goji berries, a tablespoon, and your Chinese red dates, a couple of those. That's a congee. Amazing for menstruation, pregnancy, postpartum. So congee is amazing. Bone broth is king. I talk about bone broth being the fertility elixir of life. So during the shedding phase, we focus on ensuring the smooth flow of Qi and blood. All right, so we want to make sure that the menstrual flow is not painful, it's not heavy, it's not scanty, right? It's not clotty. And so in Chinese medicine, we address all of those things with our strategies. We've got a big toolkit in Chinese medicine. A lot of people don't understand what Chinese medicine does. And we have acupuncture, the fine needles. They're amazing. They're like really fine as a hair. Literally insert them into the skin, moves the qi and blood. Amazing for when you've got period pain. We've also got Chinese herbal medicine, as I've mentioned, those two herbs, dang gui, go qi zi. We've got moxa. Moxa is like a cigar, and it's not that you smoke it. It's literally we light it and we burn it close to the skin. We often use the moxa on the ends of the needle. We call this ondan moxa, and we'll often use Chinese massage. So these are just some of the therapies we will use during menstruation. I even love the moxa boxes. I have these in my clinics. It's a big box. We put the moxa in and it smokes and it's like, and it's amazing for painful periods and clotting and moving that blood. It's so relaxing. And so it's wonderful if you can try and have acupuncture when you're having your period or leading up to your period. But during menstruation, as I've mentioned, it's crucial to prioritize rest and relaxation, just allowing your body the time to rejuvenate. So gentle stretching, we want restorative yin yoga, nothing inverted because we want the blood to flow out. We don't want retrograde blood, and there's a theory linked to retrograde blood with endometriosis. So we want the blood to flow, right? So it's a lot of forward bends in yoga. It's a restorative practice, but doing all the exercises like even just gentle walking, it could be some Pilates, doing the things that you enjoy to do, but gentle. The main takeaway during this shedding phase is avoid cold and raw. Cold and raw foods constrict. They constrict the blood vessels, lead to stagnation and pain and cramping. So avoid the cold and raw and keep the abdomen warm. So if you've got a wheat bag, beautiful, put that on during menstruation. Avoid cold bathing, avoid swimming, avoid wading in a river, avoid being drenched in the rain, avoid sitting or lying on the wet ground or working in damp fields or sitting on the wet floor. So that's the shedding phase. The follicular phase, this is the yin phase. This is the pillar of the menstrual phase in Chinese medicine. This is the follicle growth. This is preparing the uterine lining. This is the yin, right? This is the embodiment of the female. So in the follicular phase, we've got estrogen rising to support the thickening of the lining. All right. We've got the follicles maturing and developing. So we need plenty of fluid. So this phase is characterized in Chinese medicine by blood and yin. And I often talk to my patients in my coaching calls. We often focus a lot on blood and iron and folate rich foods. All right. So in terms of energy and lifestyle, we've got as the estrogen peaks, so does your mental and physical energy levels. So this is when you're like the diva, like your hair's feeling gorgeous. You're feeling communicating with the world. You are ready to procreate. It's ramping up, right, to ovulation. So during this time, this is when I encourage you to literally do your physical exercise that's more high intensity, not over-exercise and over-exert, but this is the time if you want to give it a nudge, we do it in the follicular phase. In terms of your nutrition and herbs, in Chinese medicine, we'll consume herbs to support estrogen, such as Romania root, like we call this Shu Di Huang, and it tonifies the blood and the yin. We also have Bai Xiao, which is peony, and we'll eat foods high in vitamin D, vitamin A. We'll have things like zinc, selenium foods to help the uterine lining thicken and prepare for ovulation. So lots of protein. And that can be lean meats, fish, legumes, eggs, whole grains. Think of your macros: protein, carbs, fats, healthy fats. So what are healthy fats? Omega-3s, salmon, walnuts, flax seeds. All right, lots of antioxidants because, we are maturing follicles. We are growing a human being. Warm and cooked foods, we're still here with the warm and cooked because we want to absorb all of the nutrients. So again, try and stay away from your cold and raw. And then we want to focus on the folate-rich food. Folate, folate, folate. Get this into your head during the yin phase. So all your leafy greens, beans, beets, avocado, asparagus, citrus fruits, Brussels sprouts, broccoli, all right? And we've also got beef liver or liver of organ meats. So if you look at organ meats and beef liver, for example, it's so rich in folate. 3 ounces of it is 215 micrograms of folate. For fertility, we need around 400 micrograms and above. So I know that most of you have that in your supplements, but remember, food is superior. In addition, we want to have high energy foods because we don't want any lulls in the energy. We're waxing on to ovulation. So foods that build your energy: bananas, fatty fish, brown rice. Sweet potatoes is my number one food. I love sweet potato. We call it kumara. It's the red sweet potato. Eggs, plenty of water. We want to be hydrated. Okay, third phase, ovulatory phase. This is the release of the mature ovum. Rising estrogen triggers the surge of the LH and the FSH, which causes the egg to erupt from the follicle. So there's also a short spike in testosterone at this time. So this is like the transition from yin to yang. All right, it's that transition. Remember, ovulation, it's a very short window, 12 to 24 hours. So this is the time to listen to your body, tune in, where you can get in the mood, all right? And during this phase in Chinese medicine, we want to move the energy. We want to use Chinese herbs like the Chinese wild yam. We call it shan yao, ginseng, renshen, schisandra berries, wu wei zhi, and cinnamon. We can put some cinnamon on the food. It's gui zhi. All right, during this phase, from a Chinese medicine perspective, we want to nourish the kidney, yin and yang. We want to encourage the smooth flow of liver qi because we've got to move that egg through the fallopian tubes. So we also want to strengthen the spleen and blood. So again, emphasizing warming foods. It's a real fertility thing, warming. We want a warm womb. We don't just think embryos don't grow in the snow. They don't grow. Nothing grows in the snow. So what do we need to do? Heat warm foods so we have a warm womb. We also want to encourage omega-3 fatty acids to support the cervical mucus. So things like flax seeds, we often do the seed rotation with my patients. So your flax seeds and your pumpkin seeds, walnuts, salmon, mackerel, all those fatty fish, sardines, shrimp, trout, chia seeds, love chia seeds. Make your chia puddings. That's an exception when you can have it at room temperature, but you can make them overnight and you can utilize those in your cooking. What else? Hydrating fruits and veggies. So think of your iceberg lettuce, radishes, watermelon, cucumbers, berries are really, they're hydrating. Citrus fruits. We want foods high in vitamin E for the lining, sunflower seeds, almonds, hazelnuts, spinach, avocado, mango. What else? Peanut butter. We all love peanut butter. Red bell peppers. And the liver supporting foods because we want to move that liver qi. So in terms of food and nutrition, oatmeal, beetroot, berries, or your cruciferous vegetables. This is your brassica family: cauliflower, broccoli, bok choy, kale. All right. And, just utilize food as medicine where you can through the phases. It's amazing when you start to eat and optimize for the phases. So the last phase, phase 4, it's the progesterone production. So we got that biphasic shift on your BBT chart. And this is where progesterone production's at its high. It's the dominant hormone. We're literally preparing for implantation. This is the yang phase. So, but in addition, you've got to think about it in totality because all the resources in this phase, in this luteal phase, qi, yin, yang, blood are utilized because we're preparing for a pregnancy. And so qi is really the conductor of the cycle and it needs to be plentiful and flowing in order for the cycle to run smoothly. So energy and lifestyle, let's look at this. What do we need? We need to look at what herbs. So progesterone supporting herbs, vitex, astragalus, we call it huangqi, tuanxiong. It regulates the blood. It invigorates the blood. We often use this herb for dysmenorrhea, amenorrhea, painful periods. The takeaway is avoiding overly inflammatory foods, all right, and refined sugar, highly processed, greasy foods, because when progesterone is high, the hormones change, and it kind of gives you this little bit more of a sedating effect. Progesterone causes the energy levels to slump. And so that's why we reach for the sugar, because we want that hit. So this is the time, pivotal time, that I encourage us all my patients, to practice breath work, do some pranayama, some yoga or journaling. All right. It's because it's a sedating time. This, if we break it down, if you look at ovulation compared to this phase, you're actually more communicative, and it's better to actually have the bigger conversations when, estrogen is at its peak, because that's when you're open to communication. When progesterone is peaking, you're a little bit more docile, a little bit more, you're insular. So it's the time where the husband gives you a bit more space. It's your quiet time. So journal, be zen. All right, some of the menstrual health indicators. I'm going to interpret the signs for you, because Chinese medicine's got a wealth of information, and I love looking at TCM for your overall fertility health. So when we're looking at the cycle and the flow, we'll interpret sign to gain insights. All right. So when I first do my intake forms, I get people to tell me all about their periods, the menstrual flow, what's the texture, what's the color. And it's really basic. When you think about bright red blood is healthy. If you cut yourself, you've got bright red blood. So healthy blood is bright red, and it just means you've got good chi flow and circulation. That's what we're looking for. Dark red or purple blood may suggest stasis. It can be associated with pain or emotional stress. And then we've got pale. So pale blood often can indicate chi and blood deficiency, and it can indicate things like anemia. It can indicate low ferritin. It just means we need to strengthen the body, nourish the blood, all right, nourish the spleen. All right, in terms of menstrual length and regularity, we want regular cycles, ideally the same amount of days in between cycles, the same length. So it's not fluctuating. It's not irregular or missed. All right, when it's irregular or missed periods, this can indicate imbalances of chi stagnation, blood deficiency, underlying stress, thyroid disorders. There can be lots of things that we'll investigate if we've got irregular or missed periods. Then we look at menstrual pain. Is there pain? Is there discomfort? So mild cramping, this is not even considered normal in Chinese medicine. So pain is not normal. A good healthy period in Chinese medicine is red blood flow, no pain or cramping, and you don't even know when it arrives. No PMT, no pain. This is an ideal period. Who has that? Not many people. So when we have pain, that can indicate, we've got liver chi stagnation. It can be PMS. You get a lot of PMS symptoms like irritability, moodiness. It's just showing us that the chi and blood is not flowing smoothly. We call that liver chi stagnation. There can also be physical symptoms of breast tenderness and bloating. Now, this is an imbalance of the liver and spleen in Chinese medicine. So other observations, so clotting's a big observation that I look for. Clots can indicate blood stagnation, and they can be any size, right? They can be size of palm, size of nail, size of rice grain. They can be specks, they can be stringy, and they can be stringy and mucousy. All of that gives us data. And Chinese medicine, we take note of everything. It all means something. So when you see your practitioner, tell them more about your periods. This is the color. This is the flow. It's not regular. Or I had some spotting before. I had some clotting. What was the size of the clots? What was the color of the blood? Did it start brown? Did it finish brown? All of that information is really important knowledge for us as practitioners. And even with Western doctors, they're starting to get their head around a lot of these TCM pathways and treatment strategies. So, Chinese medicine is being really infused into modern medicine, which is great. I love that. All right, the impact of lifestyle on menstrual health. So I'm going to discuss things like diet, exercise, stress, and sleep. Just going to keep things simple. right? Because these lifestyle factors have an enormous effect on your menstrual health and fertility. So it affects, impedes the chi, it affects the blood, it affects the harmony of the body's organ systems. That makes sense. So it's crucial for maintaining, these lifestyle factors. We need to address them. So this is the big tidy up we do initially in my fertility coaching, is we work on the lifestyle factors. What's the diet like? I'll often get my patients to do a big food diary. So we want balance and moderation. That's what Chinese medicine is all about, homeostasis. All right. So we want to emphasize foods that nourish the body and support the proper flow of qi and blood. So we look at things in terms of, is it warm? Is it cool? Is it dry? Is it moist? So we want to consume them according to your individual constitutional pattern. Not everyone has the same pattern. I don't give the same food and nutritional dietary protocol to every patient, because some patients are warm, some are cool, some are dry, some are moist. I know that's kind of making it really simple, but it's, you can break it down like that. So we want to have foods that are rich in nourishing the blood, as I've mentioned before when we're looking at optimizing those phases. So, your leafy greens, your beets, your lean proteins. So these are really powerful for when you've got menstrual irregularities. So conversely, things that are excessively spicy and greasy and cold are advised against if you have, cold hands and cold feet. So if you're a cold person, a predisposition to feeling the cold, or you prefer to have a wheat bag on your belly, you prefer warmth when you're menstruating, often there's that internal cold. So we don't want to add cold foods that are going to antagonize that. All right, exercise. So Chinese medicine, we advocate for regular, moderate exercise to ensure the smooth flow of qi and blood through the body. So we will recommend things like Tai Chi and Qigong, gentle yoga, not your power yoga, not your 40 degrees hot yoga. We want to balance the energy, but it's about finding the thing that you like to do. If I've got runners and marathon runners, I have to pull them back and just say, like, we have to do interval running. And, not the big, long, marathon runs. Pull them back to under 10 Ks. If you've been running mini marathons of 21 kilometers and above and you're trying to get pregnant, you'll probably find that you're having a lot of difficulty because it affects all the hormones. So we need moderation. So we want to avoid overexertion. So the high intensity, the long marathons, the excessive physical labor. So if you are doing work that's really like labor intensive, you might need to think about changing the work that you're doing, or changing your hours, or going part-time, because it's going to lead to imbalances with the menstrual cycle, and anything that disrupts the menstrual cycle affects you from having a baby. Stress. So stress and emotions are closely linked to the liver in Chinese medicine. Now, this is responsible for the smooth flow. I've mentioned that, smooth flow of qi through the body. So emotional upset can lead to liver qi stagnation, manifesting as PMS, irregular periods, or fertility issues. So we need to manage our stress. Acupuncture is my number one favorite. I love acupuncture because the moment you put a needle in, you're already activating the parasympathetic nervous system. It's just I find my patients fall asleep straight away, especially if they're stressed. Put the needle in, yin tongue, favorite point for stress. It's incredible when you do the acupuncture. So if you're not doing acupuncture as part of your protocol for if you've got menstrual irregularities or issues with getting pregnant, highly recommend regular weekly acupuncture. It is just amazing. Yoga, meditation, qigong, but anything to manage your stress, doing the things that you love, gardening. It could be, going for a walk, being in nature, walking in parks, hiking. Do the things that you love to do. We've got to not punish yourself by doing things you don't want to do. We've got to inspire joy, because joy makes the heart happy, makes then the uterus receptive to conception. So find what you love. And I highly recommend getting started on a meditation journey. If you have I recommend a couple of things, circle and bloom meditations. They're amazing. Giant Mind, Smiling Mind, Headspace, Happify. My other number one favorite is Calm. It's got the sleep and meditation. I love the sleep stories. I'm a big fan of the narrated stories by Matthew McConaughey. I'm his number one fan. He's literally will put you to sleep. by listening to those stories if you're having issues with going to sleep and not resting. So again, we're going to get to the last pillar, sleep. If I can mention, stress the importance of all of these pillars, sleep is the number one. It's so important for regulating hormones. I can't stress the importance of rest. Getting to sleep before 10, like getting to bed at 10. Every hour you get to sleep before 10 is worth 2 hours of real-time sleep. So if we just need to practice better sleep hygiene. We've all got out of control through COVID. We're all going to sleep too late. We need to get back into, we need to retrain, do some sleep hygiene, have a cold room, have a dark room, get your digital devices out of your room, have a nice sleepy tea, an unwind tea. It could be some blackstrap molasses with some plant-based milk, and wind it down, read, do some of these meditation apps. Just start to fix the sleep, because studies confirm 70% of people with sleep apnea have obesity, all right? So the hormones involved in appetite and regulation and metabolism are affected by sleep apnea. That's your insulin, your leptin, your ghrelin. So if you've got sleep apnea, if you've got issues with sleep, we need to fix that first before anything else. Before we even entertain diet, sleep is number one. All right, let's jump into the menstrual irregularities and how they can impact your physical and emotional well-being as well as your fertility. So with PCOS, modern medicine will often jump on it with the birth control pill to regulate the periods. What else? They'll use metformin for the insulin resistance, and then they'll use things like letrozole or Clomid to induce ovulation. Chinese medicine, what I love Chinese medicine is that it will look at your pathogenesis. So it'll differentiate, because not everyone has obesity or overweight or is insulin resistant. 70% of PCOS cases tend to be insulin resistant, but not all of them. So the beauty of Chinese medicine is it differentiates. Is it insulin resistant? Is it post-pill PCOS? Is it androgen PCOS? Is it lean post-PCOS? And depending on the pattern will determine how we treat it. So, for example, if I'm treating the most common one, which is the insulin resistant type, we call that like a phlegm damp accumulation. It's a real spleen dysfunction in Chinese medicine. So we will work on the liver, spleen and kidneys. Often with these periods, they'll be prolonged. They might be amenorrhea. There could be scanty flow. It could be pale. It can be dark or dull in colour, and often there's clots and with mucus with this damp insulin type. Right, the BBT, what that we will often see with that is a prolonged transition into the luteal phase. So it's that kidney, spleen and yang deficiency. And you'll find that the luteal phase, it doesn't actually reach 98 degrees. So with the tongue, we look at the tongue. That's one of the parameters we use in Chinese medicine. I love this. Tongue diagnosis is powerful. Your tongue is a map. It tells me so much. So the tongue is often swollen with teeth marks with PCOS. It's often pale, dull red in colour. It can often have a slippery or greasy or sticky coat. All right, and the pulse feels slippery. It feels really slippery. It almost feels like a pregnancy pulse. A pregnancy pulse is a slippery pulse. So the PCOS pulse actually feels a little bit like a pregnancy pulse. So interestingly, we do a lot of work on the hara, REN 12s, stomach 28, stomach 25, REN 6. There's a lot of the spleen and stomach. We'll use a lot of those meridian points. But there's so many acupuncture points we can use for that pattern. Stomach 36, it's on the shins. I often use it for my runners. It's on the tibialis anterior. It's on your shin muscle. So you can really hammer your shin muscles all the way down, because then it gets all the way stomach 39, stomach 37. You can go up and down the shin, right? So just think of shin guards, men in football, smashing down the shin. You can hammer the shins, and it really helps with chi and blood. Endometriosis. Modern medicine will often use things like ablation. It'll use things to, non-steroidals to relieve pain. It can be things like excision to remove the endometrial tissue. In Chinese medicine, our approach, we often work with Western medicine. when it's really severe. So once it's excised, Chinese medicine is amazing. So the treatment approach from a Chinese medicine perspective is to move the qi in blood, reduce the blood stagnation, and alleviate the pain. So when not all patients have pain with endo, but you'll often see severe pain, irregular cycles. What else? The quality of flow may be excessive. It might be insufficient. You might have clotting some days. There can be spotting. I mean, it can also be really big, large clots. Now, the thing that I notice with the endo pattern on the BBTs is like sawtooth in the luteal phase, but it can be a prolonged transition into the luteal phase. The heat may push the temperature up and then it falls due to deficiency. So the tongue can be pale purple. It can be reddish purple. There might be some purple spots. It might be even thin and sticky. Like the tongue can present in all different ways. The main treatment principle is that we want to really nourish the liver. All right. We want to nourish the liver, remove the blood stagnation, really tonify the spleen. So nourish the blood, regulate ovulation. Spleen 10 is one of my favorite points for the blood stasis with endometriosis. And spleen 10, if you put your hands on your knees, right, just put your hands over your patella, where your thumbs land, that's spleen 10. It's on the vastus medialis. It is a powerful point in Chinese medicine for removing blood stagnation, cooling inflammation, regulating the blood, and just regulating the blood of the uterus. Like it's such a powerful point for endo. Irregular periods, modern medicine will often look at a variety of factors, thyroid issues, stress, it could be hormonal imbalances. And again, they'll be looking at, treatments like Clomid, metformin, letrozole. Chinese medicine, we will differentiate. We'll we may even refer it for further investigation if there's, if there's pain associated with that. But in DCM, irregular periods are often attributed to liver constraint and kidney deficiency. So Xiao San, we'll often use that. I love that because it nourishes the liver blood and the liver qi, it softens the liver, regulates menstruation. So Xiao San, amazing. If we've got a pattern that we want to strengthen the kidneys, with irregular periods, we might use a couple of formulas, Jin Gui Shenqi Wan and Zogui Wan. All right. So we'll often do things like moxering the belly. All right. Using that moxa stick that looks like a cigar over the belly. We're going to talk a bit about dysmenorrhea. Modern medicine will look at that. And this is where it gets a bit complicated because dysmenorrhea sometimes we want to rule out endometriosis here as well. So non-steroidals are often the first train of thought with modern medicine, and then oral contraceptives to regulate hormones. So with Chinese medicine, with dysmenorrhea, we look at this as a blood stagnation problem. We look at this, we need to invigorate the blood. We need to remove the blood stagnation. And so with dysmenorrhea, there's the periods are often dark purple in color, and there's a lot of clotting. All right, distending pain, stabbing pain in the lower abdomen. So some common formulas we use are Shui Fu Juyu Tongue or Tao Hong Siwu Tongue. And again, you can use spleen 10. Brilliant point. Moving the blood, moving the stasis. We'll often use stomach 29, liver 3. So liver 3 is like between your big toe and your second toe. Imagine this is my foot. So that's liver 3, moves the liver qi. Amenorrhea is the absence of periods. So modern medicine will often look at hormonal therapy to trigger the menstrual cycle. Chinese medicine, we want to look at why. What are the reasons why there's the cessation of your period? Is it due to insufficient supply or stagnation? Now, there's two pathways with amenorrhea, and we've got to work out, is it coming from deficiency? Is it coming from excess? All right, so depending on what the pattern is, based on your pulse, your tongue, your period flow, all right? So, what symptoms are we looking for? So if we look at the depleted type, there might be, for example, feelings of cold, there might be back pain, fatigue, there can be, the period will be light, okay? And the BBT, it's really low in the luteal phase. Instead of being up, is low, all right? It can be sawtooth, it can be horse-shaped, or it can be a short luteal phase in the BBT. So the tongue can be pale, it can be flabby, it can be swollen. So again, acupuncture, I really love using the moxa for this type, for this deficient type. And often you'll find there's some internal cold with the blood stagnation. So we want to warm up the womb using points on the feet. Kidney 1 will moxa the feet. We want to keep the feet warm. So you can even do foot buckets, put some cup of magnesium, Epsom salts in the bucket, warm the feet, and then legs up the wall. It's one of my treatment strategies for this deficient type of amenorrhea because it aids the venous blood return back to the heart. How does all of this affect fertility, all these patterns? Well, really, if I just break it down, it's just quite simply, it affects ovulation. It affects the hormonal balance. It affects the uterine environment, so implantation. So as you can see, Chinese medicine and Western medicine, they offer valuable approaches to treating menstrual irregularities and improving the menstrual cycle and improving fertility. I find the integration of both. So let's join them together, have a comprehensive treatment plan. And, so I'm often now working with gynecologists, with other healthcare providers, and it's wonderful because, the more that we can work together as a team, the quicker we can get you pregnant. So I just want to thank you all for joining me. I am going to just check some of the questions. Let me see, just one brief question. You'll have a luteal phase of 10 days, how to fix it to 14 days. Now, this is coming from Tetiana. Thank you for your message. Do you want to unmute yourself? Do you want to have a chat with me, Tetiana? Let's have a chat about your luteal phase.
Yes. Hello, Dr. Tisani.
Can you put your video on? I'd love to. There we go. Hello. I love it when I'm talking. Otherwise, I feel like I'm talking to myself here. So please tell me about your cycle.
Yeah, I always had a regular cycle, 28 days. Just the last 2 years, we had few IVF, and this was failed. And my cycle was start to be more shorter, like 24 days.
Right.
And it's very regular. Okay. Every time, 24 days, and little bit poor blood flow.
Okay, poor blood flow. So is the period, how many days would you bleed? How long is the period? How many days would you have the shedding? How many days?
2 days. 2 days.
2 days. Okay. And the color of it is?
It's a little bit light.
Okay. Now, any coldness, hands and feet cold.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
So this is wonderful. So moxibustion is one thing I would recommend that you get your hands on. So you can put it on Google. But are you in my school group or my Facebook group?
Yes, in your school group.
Okay. All right. So I will drop this, Tatiana, into your profile, and I'll drop the link of the moxa stick. So it looks like a cigar. And what you do is you light it, and we just burn it on the soles of the feet. And what we do is we just literally hover and peck. We don't touch the skin, and we ash it. I'll also put a tutorial video of you in school, so you can actually start to nourish the kidney yang. We want to improve that. 10 days is on the shorter side. Normally, don't try and think of 14, all right? I want to reframe that for you because everyone thinks 14. I want 14. I don't see anyone with 14 days in their luteal phase. Not often. Normal is 11 days, all right? So we just want one extra day, all right? That's what I want to hear from you. When you get one extra day, I want you to post that in the thread in school and say, hey, I'm on 11 days. Yeah, thanks to Fee. And
wow.
The mox is powerful. What you can also do, you can do it on the belly. So you can do it on below the navel. Now we're just talking 5 to 10 minutes, nothing more. All right. Okay. So you might do 5 minutes on the feet, hover and peck, and then we're going to do it below the navel. So that's the Ren 4. It's the gate. It's literally warms the womb. It's going to help with the progesterone. Now,
Yeah.
you can look at all the compounds that build progesterone. So vitamin C, magnesium, all right, vitamin B6, sulfur-rich foods. Like those 4 compounds build progesterone. Now, food is always superior. So, we can eat magnesium-rich foods. Think of your leafy greens, all right? They're rich in, or you can do your magnesium supplement. But think of the compounds that are going to warm you up. Also, look at, after you've ovulated, we want to have the legs up the wall. Because you're depleted, when you have your legs elevated, so your legs are 90 degrees, your torso is on the ground, all right, you're at a right angle. It's a really nice release of the hamstrings and the lower back. But it's like, as I say, it's an inverted leg. The blood's pooling there, and we need extra blood, extra warmth. So for you, I'd be also putting a nice woolen scarf around you. If you're at home, warm up, put extra thermals on. We need you warm. Yeah. If you feel cold on the outside, it's cold on the inside. So we need a warm palate. Yeah. And we call the uterus in Chinese medicine the palace for the child. So it's beautiful to warm you up. So thank you, Tatiana. Thank you for your question. It's a great question. So we're only aiming for 11. No one's textbook. So we just have one extra day. We've got work to do, but we'll fix this quickly.
Yeah, and then if to make acupuncture like twice a week, it's a good.
Right.
It's a good.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so I'm going to do it.
Yeah, if you can do it twice a week, brilliant. Most people, I mean, it can be expensive, so I encourage at least a week. But if you can do twice a week, oh my goodness. And they will know what moxa is. So now you've seen what it looks like now. Looks like a cigar. Yeah. It's very stinky. So do it near a window, all right?
Yeah.
Do it near a window, but this is going to warm you up big time.
Yeah. Every day, 5-10 minutes.
Yeah, 5 to 10 minutes. Now, you can actually do it because you are just so depleted. You can actually do it through your whole cycle. All right?
Yeah.
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 Okay. All right.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. One other question here. I have Sylvia. Sylvia, would you like to unmute? Reveal yourself. Put your camera on.
I'm here.
You're in the middle of your cycle. Talk to me. Hello.
Hello.
Hi.
My first time with you. I've been on this group for months, and it's my first time joining the live stream session.
Perfect.
Nice to meet you.
It's nice to meet you. This is a family. This is our family. Yeah, you're part of a family, so don't be nervous.
So I'm 47 years old. I am really regulated on my period. I have a 28-day cycle. So right now I am in the middle of my period.
Okay.
I am about to ovulate, for which I understood.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And I've been with a gynecologist in another city, in another country. I'm living in the United States, and it's hard to afford IV here. So my husband and I have been going to Mexico, and I've been taking lots of injections on my belly, like a human gonadotrophin.
Yep.
What else? Citrorelix, acetatum, somatropin. I've been taking estrogen, progesterone.
This is part of your protocol.
Putting his prescriptions, and we were preparing to accompany the growing of my eggs. Yesterday, I had 3 eggs aspired, but according to him, just one was viable to go to IV. The other 2, after he washed, they were empty.
That's okay. And you know what? You need to remember, you only need one. I had one of my patients, she was a very similar story, and she was the same age, and she was doing IVF. Same thing happened. One lead follicle, and one was transferred, and she now has a beautiful little baby boy. He's now about 6 or 7 years old. Yeah, it's possible. Yeah, so don't worry about that. Obviously, the older we get, the less we recruit.
Yeah, it was fertilized according to him.
Right.
It was fertilized today. We are just waiting if it grows until the third day, until the fifth day.
Okay.
I was expecting, I'm just frustrated because I was expecting that my body could answer better.
Yeah.
And just one of my ovaries answer to all these medications.
Yes.
With 3 follicles in one side, the left side and the right side didn't answer.
Right.
And I've been taking multivitamins, prenatal vitamins every morning, vitamin B, magnesium, iron.
Can I just interrupt here? So one thing that I'm picking up from you is the frustration, and this is where the acupuncture would be really good for you to support the pre and post transfer. All right. So I want you to try and book in for some acupuncture if you can, because it's going to harmonize the emotions. And, this process is really stressful. Let's face it. It's really stressful. Don't worry about how many you recruit. We just need one really good one. And we want to focus on that and focus on that. And we wait. And that's where the acupuncture is brilliant, because we need you harmonized, ready to receive this embryo. So we need to get our head around not worrying about what the yield was. We want to focus on, we've got one and we're good to go. So we need to go all in. All right. So I need you to get some acupuncture or do some kinesiology or Reiki or energy, any form of therapy that makes you calm. All right. And keep focusing on the nutrition, because we need healthy blood flow.
Yes, all that you said about not having cold, not having too much dairy or too much caffeine or alcohol. I don't drink alcohol. I don't drink coffee.
Right.
Dairy, a cup of milk every day, just 1 cup of milk, right. Not energetics, Gatorade or those things. Yeah. Caffeine, caffeinated drinks, I don't drink every day.
So just think about, we want nourishing, hydrating foods, all right? So think about your root veggies, think about your magnesium-rich foods. But for you, hearing what I'm hearing is we need some liver support. Because you've had all these hormones, we need to work on your liver detoxification pathways. So I would be suggesting that you start your day with lemon water, with a squeeze of lemon juice, all right, and 2 tablespoons of apple cider vinegar. We need to get your gut enzymes right and gets the liver clearance right. So leafy greens, the brassica family, which is all your cruciferous vegetables, because they're high in diindolylmethane. So it's going to help escort all of these hormones that you have put into your body. We need your liver pathways working right. So we want to focus on your liver a lot. So think green, eat green things. So thank you for your question. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
I wish you every success.
Thank you. Amen.
Amen to that. And so it is. And so it is. Keep us posted. Please keep us posted. And also, just remember, you can put any questions in the thread in school and I'll answer those for you.
Okay. Thank you.
I'm here with you. I've got your hand.
God bless you.
Yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome. Let me see if I have any more questions. I think that covers it. So you can unmute yourself now. You can turn off your video. Thank you, Sylvia. I'm going to say thank you all for joining me today. And I just want to let you know, if you wanted to contact me on Facebook, I've got a Facebook group. If you just Google my name, Dr. Fiona Soni. I've also got school. It's a fertility tribe group for women over 40. I've got Instagram, and my handle is Dr.Fiona Soni. So thank you so much for joining me. I look forward to seeing you on the weekly live stream, and I'll see you next week.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
You.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.